Out there. This is February 24th, 2017, and it's a Friday here in Northern California where it's just about 8 minutes before 10 in the morning. And, I was really excited to talk about a few things today, and, I'm really going to try very hard to keep the amount of time I spend making this video today, this video series today. There's so much on my mind. We got Alex Jones being attacked by the advertising agencies, big companies involved with Google, AdSense or whatever they're calling it there. I think it's going by different names, but here in California, I think it goes by the name of AdSense, but he used some other terms. So maybe they change names, depending on the area they're in. But they're pulling advertising saying that his speech is political and all this, and there's something that, needs to be understood here. Right or wrong, the only area that I'm aware of that you could safely discriminate openly is in the political affiliation. So in other words, if you're a Democrat, you can outright, overtly discriminate against a Republican at will in whatever way you see fit, and that means not doing business with them. You're forced that you have to do business with, anybody else for any other reason that I know of. But when it comes to this, so you can understand, the diabolical nature of this lack of a law. Basically, it's discriminatory by nature. It's saying, yes, it's absolutely okay that we have a divided nation like this, and that we profoundly believe that our differences are irreconcilable, that it's just always going to be like this. Get used to it, because this is a fight to the finish, and the only time I'm happy is when my guys are in power, and I'm going to fight you tooth and nail if my guy's not in power. I mean, basically that's it. This whole business of Alex saying it's like this, give me Barabbas, give us Barabbas, the angry mob when they were angry at Jesus. These establishmentarian types were angry with Jesus because he spoke against their practices, against their authority. And that's the same thing today. And so, really essentially by default, all these people that hate Trump and are anti-Trump, never Trump, and Trump should be impeached, all this rubbish, they are crucifying Trump. Okay, basically that's it. And they would rather have Hillary by default. That's what they're saying. Because those were the only two options that the American people had. We knew it was either going to be Hillary or Trump. So by default, that's what they're saying. If they think Trump is so terrible, they're saying, yes, they would rather see Hillary. They wouldn't be out there protesting if Hillary Clinton was up. But she's, my God, all the people that have been sent to their grave by the Clintons, give me a break. Okay, not to mention my suspicion about, foreknowledge at least of the events of 9/11. Now, I'm not letting Bush off the hook either, but this is a guy that is the village idiot for all intents and purposes. He didn't know what the hell was going on. The way Paul Craig Roberts talks about Ronald Reagan understanding economic policy. Okay, it's the same kind of thing. Life is full of dilemmas and profound paradoxes that we all have to walk through. And there seems to be a great lack of understanding, grave and great lack of understanding out there. And this is by intent. This is by deliberation, that we've all been dumbed down and we've all been made at each other's throats. Okay, this is for a rhyme and for a reason. And it's very traumatic to me. And I'm very glad to say that I hate my life in this world. I absolutely do. I'm absolutely ashamed of having anything when I've got brothers and sisters, fellow Americans dying out in the cold, being persecuted. It happened right here in Chico, okay? And I'm having a real hard time contending with this. I don't know how much more I can withstand. I need everybody to wake up to what's going on here. They're committing genocide. They're persecuting fellow Americans, okay, right under our noses. This is going on, and there needs to be a hell of a lot more outrage because I can't enjoy my life. I've got it 100 times better. How do you measure how much better when you're not going to die out in the cold, when you're not sleeping in some cold, damp tent? Okay, with sub-zero, I mean, Celsius at least, weather. I mean, this is what these people are going through. Okay, the shelters don't take you if you want to carry a firearm, if you want to have a dog. The shelters won't take you, okay? It's plain and simple, these poorhouses. Okay, these people are under a lot of duress, and I feel that duress, and whether you know it or not, and I don't know who I'm talking to, and everybody, I'm talking to the whole freaking planet. Alex Jones, man, this guy, I love this guy, and I do fixate and I obsess on this guy because he just intrigues me so much. He's such a phenomena, modern day media. He's the kingpin of the alternative media. So yes, I do fixate on this guy, and I know what he's going through. I mean, who would trade places with a guy like Alex Jones? Okay. But I just wish the guy understood what's bugging him more, because I know I admire the hell out of his passion. Believe me, I was brought up with a very passionate dad. Okay, he was a Marine. He had a really tough childhood. He's a tough guy. He lived his dreams. He did what most guys dare not ever dream to do. He fulfilled a lot of stuff in his life. Okay, he's a published author a couple times over. He's a master boat builder, master sailor, okay, World War II Marine, put his neck on the line for the American people, for the Jews, for all the other people being persecuted over there, the Seventh-day Adventists and gypsies and poor people, okay, in general. Hitler just went after everybody after a while, so that he was non-discriminating, right? He just went for everybody. So anybody that, he didn't like, he didn't trust, that was smarter than him, whatever. And I know I'm digressing all over the place. This is so typical of me, but I can't help it, okay? There's just so much. My brain is spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour here. And, I woke up this morning, I had a dream that I was hanging out with Rob Dew down in Santa Cruz, okay? We were like off Ocean Street in some house, some condo apartment, whatever the heck it was. And I think Alex was there and a few other people I know from the crew. And, I don't remember talking to Alex. I just remember most of the time hanging out with Rob Dew. We were doing something and meeting people. And it was just, the life as a reporter would be very difficult. And the only way I think that any of these people pull it off is by having a sidekick. You got to have a cameraman. I've got a remote control. So for all intents and purposes, I could go out and get my own interviews from people. I'm not there yet. I mean, I've tried it, and I don't know. I'd rather go with somebody, I think, and finding the right person to do that with. Who knows? I mean, how that works, but I do what I do for free, and that's the way I like to do it. I understand when people need to make money. I don't resent anybody for needing to make money. I understand that about Alex Jones. I understand that about everybody. We're all under the gun here. I'm under the gun for, if you saw, I mean, most people, if, that are well-to-do, let's say, middle class, lower middle class, upper middle class, rich, super rich, whatever. Okay, you'd say, that guy's hardly got anything. Poor bastard. I mean, what's he talking about? He's a nobody. He's unsuccessful. Okay, that's what most people would say. And you know what? I feel like I've got too much. I honestly do. I feel so much guilt in knowing that my brothers and sisters are dying out in the cold. And this is what I want to get across to guys like Alex Jones, guys in these high media circles. I myself don't ever care to be in them. I mean, if God wants me to be, so be it. But in the meantime, all I want to do is sit back in the shadows, be a nobody, because after all, isn't that what Jesus said of himself? And I hear Alex Jones talking about this. He talks about himself like he's a nobody. He gets it. He's feeling it. You see, he enjoys the stuff he has, the material possessions he has. And anybody can understand that. All people understand that. God understands that. The difference between the enjoyment he can have in those material possessions now, or me, or anybody else out there, okay, this goes for everybody, is if we are free, not spotty free, okay? You can't say, well, I'm financially free. I'm not in jail. I've got free speech. So it's every man for himself. That's that social Darwinian attitude that they want us to embrace. And they're getting us to do it. They're just inculcating us, training us, indoctrinating us, brainwashing us. That's it. Just, over and over and over, they keep, piling on the nonsense, and we're just taking it. Why are we taking it? When I'm speaking out against it, yes, and you can speak out against it, but we're all tolerating it. I'm not doing more, but I don't blame the local authorities. For instance, this homeless encampment being roused, and all the people are being kicked off this land. I mean, they've got all these health code violations and all this, and it's not the local authorities' fault. Who is it? Let's go to the book of Ephesians and see whose fault this is. This is these evil people. These are the deceivers. These are the ones Jordan Maxwell was on the Alex Jones show. He was talking about these people. These are the deliberate deceivers, and you could just see his countenance. I mean, it's traumatic when you realize that there are people deliberately deceiving us at the top. They are the ones creating the policies we're all forced to live under. So it's not the local politicians. It's not the local authorities. Okay, it is these evil people in high places that are deliberately screwing things up. Okay, everybody on earth could be free, and by free I mean absolutely free, and that has to involve financial freedom. We must be financially free, or we will never know God. We will never know happiness. We will never know good. Okay, we just can't. We cannot do it. Our conscience won't allow us. God built this default in us. And when we try to defy it, it's just like he said. He said the only sin that's unforgivable is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. So we understand these things intuitively, instinctively, that we can't go against them. And it's just like guys like Alex Jones, they're better at verbalizing these things and getting these things across in a very powerful way. He's got a very in-depth vocabulary to work with. And this is why the only time I get on his case is when he starts resorting to profanity. And I don't understand it, because this is an event that's taken place just in the last year, I would say, when he started using terms that I don't like, and I don't know what's overcome him, that he feels a need, because he is so powerful. I mean, how would he like it if President Trump started using the GD term, or talking the way he does about people? We've got to, if I was talking to you, Alex, okay, I'd say, listen, brother, I love you, man, and I don't want to fight you. This bit about kicking your butt. Look, I know if you wanted to, brother, you're probably at least 3 times stronger than I am, and you could tear me limb from limb. I know that. Okay, so I know you wouldn't, because I know deep down inside, Alex Jones, you're a real pussycat. Okay, and that's why I respect you and I admire you immensely for sticking your neck out. The bravery, the courage, the valiance. It's beyond words. And that's how a lot of people feel about you, man. And I want the best for you, and I want you to feel safe. And this business, I quoted King Solomon talking about this. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes, I believe, chapter 6, verse 5. I think that's where I just looked it up recently. But I've got a bad short-term memory thing going on. But I believe it says that like a gazelle, at least one of the translations says, like a gazelle, deliver yourself from the hand of the hunter. Like a bird from the fowler. And on a metaphorical level, this is what happens when we talk about people in the wrong way, in the wrong vein, and we instill hatred for ourselves in them. We've vexed ourselves in a metaphorical, spiritual manner, what you would call a metaphysical, maybe, manner, and it's powerful, because the invisible is powerful. That's something we've all got to get through our thick skulls. Look at electricity. Look at all the things going on in the air. Without the air, we'd all be dead in a matter of minutes, okay? So the invisible is very powerful. So we've got to understand that. So this whole psychic thing and our psyche is very relevant and very important, that we understand the implications of offending our own conscience inadvertently, unintentionally, thinking we can hate others when we can't. We can't. Okay, the least of men. How are we to feel about the least of men? These are Jesus. So if you despise somebody, if it's your enemy, Jesus, you've got to love them. That's it. You've got to be like God. You've got to understand the profound paradox this is, that we're always striving to be more like God. Okay, that's it. That's the